Well, let's also move on then to games experience, actually. I know that you've gotten a chance to both work on both gameplay stuff as well as cinematics, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the difference between the two types of jobs and maybe the mindset that you need to have to approach each of them.
We can start with Gears of War. I worked on that in 2015. It was a remake, and I was in charge of redoing the whole cinematics of the first game, because it was essentially, we had to re-storyboard out, which I got to be, I think I spent a month and a half redoing the storyboards, which was fun. I got to draw. And then they took those storyboards to the set and recorded the new actors doing the mocap for them. And then we got to animate the cutscenes. So we got to set up the cameras and plus the performances. So there was some cases of keyframe, like you see when he's jumping away from, doing stunts essentially. But most of this was pretty much the performances with us doing the hands and the faces on top of it. So it was a layered process, and it ended up being very, very successful and worked really well. And they did a bunch of Gears games after this. This was kind of the prototype for the new generation of Gears games.
Let's talk a little bit about Ori gameplay, because that's also got that's a little bit a few years later, and also some different things to think about.
So gameplay, was my first job. I worked in 2002 doing Jak and Daxter 2, and essentially it's lots of cycles. So it has to work from different camera angles. Ori is a little bit of an exception because it is a 2D side scroller, so you can graphically position things to work to camera. But usually when you're doing game cycles, they need to work from all angles. So you have to actually make sure you're not cheating things. And it's really important to have a good sense of weight and arcs and timing. But yeah, we were really lucky at Ori because we got to push the animation style to be a little bit more exaggerated than, say, Gears of War. Because Ori himself is this little spirit elf, and he's got tons of squash and stretch and all sorts of cool moves that he does. So that whole world was a joy to be working on. And you can see here, it's just a lot of sort of the development process, the play blast. This is how it looked when we were working on it, with these cards as backgrounds and everything not lit. The final game obviously was far more beautiful with all the lighting and colors put in. Here you can see what the kind of final game looks like, the lighting and painting, and it's beautiful. But the artists at Moon Studios are some of the best in the world. And this process was essentially much more like feature film, because we were doing the camera timing and we were keyframing everything to do acting performances. So there wasn't really any video reference or mocap in any way. This was just purely using animation techniques and skills to create a believable performance on these fun characters. And it was a great process, because as you can see, if you've ever played Ori, there's not a lot of dialogue. And most feature film, when I do work on it, it's a lot of talking back and forth. So it's really nice to do some fun kind of Miyazaki style pantomime type acting. And I had a great time working on this project. It was a great learning experience and a joy to be part of.